goes wrong is usually doesn't last long in nature because they get rid of it. See? I watched a video where a horse sat there, a newborn horse was born, and it couldn't stand up, so the father stomped it out. That's what happens. There's something wrong. You holding up the pack. That's what it is. And then what's that gonna do for the rest of everyone else that's around? It's not setting a good example. So what's the big deal? If he's protecting the legacy of his people, I mean that's not natural. What's wrong with that?
What is the big deal was that Obama's making threats. I think that was the big deal.
Yeah, I think that's the main objective is Obama telling them in order to get aiding and funding that they have to approve of the gay lifestyle in Zimbabwe.
So Obama meddling in other people's affairs. I mean, they ain't no new shit.
This is my whole thing, too.
No, he's just doing what he's told to do. He has bosses, you know.
Yeah, wow. It's an agenda. It's an agenda, in my opinion, because there's no way that you should be holding aid. I do not understand why as many minerals and resources and everything in Africa. There is no way that Africa should have to depend on any funding or anything from anyone else. It's a shame that they're being raped and being told that if you don't accept these practices that they have viewed to be below them for a long time, and for you to say, well, we're not going to be able to give you your own funding, some of your funding that we have stolen from you. In order for you to get something or some type of aid, you have to, just get rid of all of your practices or get rid of all of your beliefs, your belief system or your moral code. I think that's foul.
Basically, conform and comply, or else, you know what I'm saying, you will be cut out. I mean, and right. I don't see that as a big deal. It's like, I mean, that's the most fertile land on earth. What the fuck do they need the U.S. for?
But that's why brother just is for depopulation. The whole agenda is to depopulate.
Exactly. I mean, we got to realize what's really going on right now. We got them actively sit there talking about, as they're starving people, sit there talking about, we're going to feed people. As they're sitting there giving them disease, they talk about we're helping to fight disease. It's like they do just the opposite of what they say they're going to do. When they sit there and say, well, we're not going to give you aid, good, because y'all, every time y'all go somewhere, y'all fuck it up anyway, so we don't want your aid. Stay the fuck away. That's what it is, though. I mean, that's like that nasty snot-nosed kid that used to always come around, you know what I'm saying, want to play ball with you, but he always sit there rubbing his daggone hands with snot and stuff, and he's like, I'm not going to play with you. I don't want to play with you anyway, you nasty. Well, though, I mean, what's the big deal? Like I said, man, all this pressure and stuff, that peer pressure don't work. It don't work when you're dealing with people who have strong minds and strong ideals. I mean, and
right.
That's it. That's it. It's like, all this little weak, whiny stuff like, they just like that little kid that always snitch. But they're over there and they're not playing nice. So the fuck what, you can't play with the big boys and then go play with the girls then. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. Right. I mean, that's what it is, though. That peer pressure shit, it's not nice. You mean to tell me the type of stuff that goes on? I mean, I'm a domestic violence prevention counselor. Homosexuals have some of the worst history as far as domestic violence between each other. So don't tell me that everything's all fine and dandy between them. Nah, and matter of fact, it's very rare that you find a couple that stays together for a long time in the homosexual community. I mean, and that's what it is.
Well, here's the thing. If, as we can tell, that Zimbabwe, I guess they need the assistance that they're getting. That Obama threatened to cut off. You know, so now it boils down to, are you going to continue to need this assistance? If you are, you're going to do what I say, or you're just not going to get the assistance at all. That's what it really boils down to, if you ask me. Because we're talking about, you know, that, of course, they're on the richest continent, but we already know that they can't touch it. We already know it's like not even being on it. Shit, you can't touch it. You're looking at it every day, but you can't touch it. You know what I'm saying? So they have to make a decision. Do we cut off the aid and, you know, continue to starve or starve more or whatever they're doing? I don't know much about what's happening in Zimbabwe right now. As a matter of fact, on this Friday on Black Woman This Guy, we're actually going to talk about some serious things happening in Africa, and I think that you all might want to join that show on Friday. That's at 4:00 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We're really going to go deeper into what's going on over there in that continent, and so make sure you tune in this week for that. That's Friday. And but like I said, that's what it's going to boil down to. Just like America, I'm not going to say America, I'm going to say those who have been in power have used that tactic for so long. As a matter of fact, I'm about to give a story here about food stamps. They talking about big cuts to food stamps coming. Medicare and Social Security may be next. Okay, and so that's how they're going to be. That's how they control. They're controlled by the resources that people are needing. People are so used to being on food stamps, used to getting aid and stuff. So it's like, okay, you're either going to do this or you won't be able to get the aid anymore. We were talking about if they start putting those chips in people, it's either you're going to take this chip or you're not going to be able to receive your funding. I know Dr. Yaffa and I talked about this before. They cutting out all paper checks for Social Security. You know, they're just making all these little changes, and that's how they continue to control the people who are depending on the system to survive. That's what they're doing. Let me read this article so this can tie right into I mean, it's not about homosexuality, but it's about the control that they're using. We have the aid. Do you want it or not? That's almost like when they were giving out public housing. I guess they still do, but, you know, do you want to be in this public housing? You have to do this, do this, do this, do that. If you don't want it, you can't live here. If you don't do it, you can't live here, that kind of thing. And a lot of people are going to fall for whatever it is they bring into them because of the fact that they are depending on the resources. So I'm just wondering how this whole thing going to pan out. Is Zimbabwe going to give in and say, you know, screw you and your resources? We're going to do what the hell we want to do because we feel like homosexuality don't need to be on this land and we need to get rid of it, you know, and do as will justice say. If that's what they feel, then they'll not take the resources, and I'm just interested to see how that comes out. But this article says major cuts to the nation's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which is now known as SNAP, are scheduled to go into effect by November of this year. This federal government action will decrease food stamp benefits for the 22 million low-income American families desperately relying on them. The drastic reduction will have negative effects on the nation's poor, who are already suffering through a sluggish economy with little to no growth. The impending cut to the government's food stamp program was set into action by federal lawmakers years ago. However, no congressional deal has been made to help avoid a major cut to the SNAP program. And you know, you can Google that, or matter of fact, you can go onto our on Facebook. We're under what are we under? Wait the Hell Up Wednesday. We're under Wait the Hell Up Wednesday, and you can get a lot of the stories that we post in there on a daily basis. But yeah, or you can Google this. So those of you who are on food stamps and everything, this is something that you need to know, because I know how, you know, Negroes get upset when their food stamps don't come on time, you know, or when they cut their food stamps. You know, we get upset about that because we be dependent on a certain amount of food stamps every month. But they said, and it says that, if I go on and continue to read, it says that they're calculating about, you know, it depends on the calculation of the household, but you can lose up to $25 a month in benefits, you know, and that's not a whole lot, but that's a lot for those who already have to still add to what they spend every month with the little food stamps that they get. So, yeah. No comment?
That I have with that, it was actually put in place for pink people in the first place.
That's right.
Is that the biggest receivers of welfare are businesses. The biggest receivers of welfare are businesses. They get supplements and stipends for their energy, etc. Okay, and it's like, it was actually put in place for pink people. There are more pink people on welfare today than, than black people, straight up and down. So when they
always have been.
We know this. I mean, it's a little known fact. People always want to sit there and make that whole stereotype of the black people being on welfare, shit like that. No, it's mostly old phase on the shit and get it clear and get it correct. When it was first instituted, it wasn't even meant for us. What was meant for us was the prison program. It would charge you for some frivolous crime and then put you right back in slavery for saying that you did some crime, even not even having a dollar in your pocket, charge you for vagrancy, and that would end you locked up and working for someone for free. I mean, that was the plan. Like, literally, they was gonna help poor white people, and black people was just gonna go to prison. I mean, and that's what it was supposed to be. They even had a family prison model where the whole city would be a prison, and they would do it like in a ghetto, literally a ghetto set. But it's like they were trying to skirt around the legal ramifications of doing all that. Now they're going to go back towards it because all they're going to do is start sitting there and linking you up to a so-called terrorist. And that's another thing, too. Now they're going to make sure that people who have previously been accused of a crime, whether you did it, whether you didn't, if you sat there, you have a record, and we know how it goes, over 90-something% of the cases they get are pleaded out. So if you ever been convicted of anything, you don't even be, what do you call it? You don't even be eligible.
You're not eligible.
I mean, and here's another thing. They gonna do that chip thing. They've been researching it for a while, and here's the worst part about it is they're gonna use your body to be the battery of that chip. I mean, so they're gonna be using your energy, like literally your energy, to power this daggone chip. All right, and this is not science fiction stuff. This is science fact. This is what they're really doing. I mean, and what's going on is they do not want you to be. That's what the whole school system is about anyway. Is to make sure that you are not self-reliant and independent. Because even the whole work day and work week is made so that you are not productive in those hours that you are working. They make sure that you don't have enough knowledge in order to run your own, in order to be self-reliant and self-sustainable.
Right.
They are making sure that they are dumbing you down to the point where they don't even want you to think for yourself, where you can sit there and say, well, hey, listen, I can work it to the point where I don't even need their monetary system. I can grow my own. I can produce my own. They don't want that, because if you start talking like that, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to try to attack your mental capacity and sit there and say that you're crazy. Well, you have to work. No, you don't. Because what were people doing before there were these big corporations around? There was no such thing as big corporations. People fed themselves. They grew their own food. If you eat animals, you raise your own animals. You found the source of water, and you know what I'm saying, carried on life. And the only thing that limited you was your imagination. That's it. I mean, because you act like
I want to go back to the food stamps before we get too far from the article real quick. But I wanted to say that even in the article that I was talking about, when it came to the food stamps being cut or whatever, J.P. Morgan is like making like trillions. Is that a word? Trillions off of the food stamp industry. They have gotten like dirty, filthy, nasty, filthy rich off of the food stamp industry. And then there's other companies that really, as I was, pulling that up about this particular story, there are so many companies that actually are benefiting off of the food stamps too, of course. And we know that a lot of people shop at Walmart and buy Coca-Cola products and things like that from these food stamps. But my only thing is that, back to what you were saying, that we have to start growing our own food. And I know a lot of people live in apartment buildings where it's hard to you only can grow a certain amount of foods in your apartment, because everything don't just grow in the apartment. You have to actually have a lot